Weather Wagers, we are back. Brett Thakura.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Tomaso.
Great to be with you. We are back in the thick of it here. It's Conference Championship Week. We had our Thanksgiving football feast last week, and boy, we had some surprises, and then, things sort of went chalk in other ways, especially when it came to at least some of the playoff rankings, which we are going to get into. It is a fun time of year, though, and we're happy to be talking to you here on this Wednesday. It's also a busy time of year as we start to not only get into coaching searches, but we get into these conference title games and then the NFL playoff hunt, all of which we're going to talk about today. Listen, you can find us, abc27.com. We're on the ABC 27 News Plus app, and more people are downloading that than ever. I just heard today. So
and let's keep it going.
Yeah, we've got Apple, we've got Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Of course, you can stream us wherever you get your podcast. But let's talk a little bit before we get into the results from last week. I had a decent week. Somebody else did not. Happy Thanksgiving.
NFL, thank you so much.
That was a brutal disaster for a lot of folks. But Thanksgiving weekend means typically the end of the regular college football season and the hiring of new coaches.
Hard to believe we're here already.
Yeah, so Lane Kiffin did it. And I think this surprised a lot of people. And other people said it's Lane being Lane, the search that just wouldn't end.
Loyal to no one.
Well, he's loyal to one person.
Yes, it does seem that way.
So who won and who lost coaching search weekend? Let's start with the Lane Kiffin saga. He is now at LSU. Look, he left a team that was competing for a national title. This is the first time that has happened, but it may not be the last time. Dan, the college football calendar is screwed up. Nobody's arguing that. The problem is the people that want to say that what is Lane Kiffin supposed to do? Well, number one, the reason that the calendar is the way that it is, you know who lobbied for that calendar?
The coaches.
The coaches did that. That's right. Also, the college system is not going to change its semesters. Christmas break is between
Nothing's going to change
semesters. So you can't have that. They wanted one portal window, which thankfully now is after the playoffs.
Yes.
Or at least most of them. So this is the coach's doing. And also, Lane didn't have to leave. Now,
Lane didn't have to leave, and he could have done it probably a little more gracefully.
Yeah, that's not something.
He was kind of playing games on social media and not really saying what he really wanted to say. And
well, he made it about him. He made it about him. And I just felt like during the entire process, there's no way he's not leaving, because if he's not leaving, he would probably come out and say it. It just seemed like he was chasing. Well, if Alabama came open, he was chasing Florida for a while, and then LSU did what they said they weren't going to do and threw him a ton of money. Well, let me play devil's advocate a little bit here, because I do sort of see both sides of this. If I'm Lane Kiffin, it is certainly possible that Lane did not know what he wanted to do. I think that if you ignore the fact that, how Lane handled this and how it played out certainly was the look at me that we know he's famous for.
And kind of the fake emotion at the end of it, too.
Lane probably was torn. I mean, he does have a chance to win a national title with this team. Maybe he felt at the end of the day that he probably wasn't. I mean, definitely when you look at Ole Miss, heck of a season, probably aren't going to beat some of the bigger juggernauts in the playoffs. They already lost to Georgia. Beating Ohio State is maybe nearly impossible for anybody. Even a team like Oregon may be slightly better than Ole Miss. Sometimes coaches know more than they let on. Their job is to rah-rah the fan base. But Lane may look at the landscape and say, you know what?
We're just not there
yet. As much as I want to stay with this team and compete, I don't think that I can do it. Also, LSU is a destination job in college football. Mm-hmm. The last three head coaches before Brian Kelly won a title. If Lane stayed, you don't know. The next guy could be there for 10 years if he wins. You don't know when you're going to have another chance at a job like that. So, again, do I agree with everything that went down? No. Do I think that Lane Kiffin is a victim? Certainly not. But
he's working out just fine.
It may have been a very tough decision, and at the end of the day, sometimes you get one shot. And you got to take it.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess I just struggle. I saw his interview with Marty Smith, and poor Marty Smith, he was adding years onto his life waiting for this whole decision to come down from ESPN, and, they wanted to be ahead of it. But, when he was at the tarmac leaving Oxford, it felt very kind of slimy, businesslike. He just has a reputation. I hate to say it. He has a reputation of doing this. He left Tennessee in the middle of the night. He left USC. He's gotten in trouble before. I would not be excited if I was the fan base, if I was LSU and I just fired Brian Kelly because I wanted better and I wanted someone to represent us and get us to a national championship. I wouldn't be happy with him. That's just me.
Well, what's to say he doesn't, in 5 years, whether he wins a title there or not, leave for an NFL job?
Well, that's right.
That could be the next thing, right?
Or if Alabama opens, does he leave for Alabama? Because it seems like that's the one he really wants. It just didn't come open this year yet.
It's all a good point. But that, of course, created other dominoes where now Florida has its guy with John Summerall.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn hires Alex Golish from USF. Word coming down, getting reports off social media now that USF wants to hire Brian Hartline.
Mm-hmm.
So these dominoes are falling. What do we think of the other hires in the SEC? These are the American coaches, and two of them are meeting. Two of the coaching hires are meeting in the title game with John Summerall of Tulane and North Texas. Their guy going to Oklahoma State. That is a game we're going to talk about, by the way. All seem like pretty solid hires. Doesn't mean they're all going to work out, but
I was going to say, I want to caution everyone. This is a big step up for each of those coaches. To go from the American to the SEC is like going from the minor leagues to the big leagues. I hate to be that blunt, but that's the way I see it. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. Alex Golash seems like he's got the right concepts and the right ideas, the right way of going about things. John Summerall, the same deal, but John Summerall had some trip ups this year. USF at least pulled off some upsets and really made things interesting in the beginning of the season, but then again, they couldn't play the whole string out. So Florida, very dysfunctional place. Auburn, very dysfunctional place. Even to some respect now, Ole Miss, dysfunctional.
Well,
good luck to all these guys.
Well, hold on a second. Ole Miss does not seem dysfunctional. I'll push back on that. They had a plan and promoted Pete Golding. Now, again, is that going to work out? I don't know. The players seem to like it. Somebody had to right that ship, and at least they
and they're in the middle of things, too.
They are, but at least they had a plan. And so I think that stabilized the plan.
LSU dysfunctional. I don't know if I said that. Very dysfunctional, probably the most.
Well, but I'll tell you one thing. All of those places have a coach.
They do.
I want to mention another place
that doesn't have a coach, a place that I did not think was dysfunctional, but apparently is. I've been trying to tell you.
And that would be Penn State. Okay? This search was the first search to start in mid-October.
If you look up the picture of dysfunctional in the dictionary, right now the athletic department is headlining it.
The search that started it off, that kicked these dominoes off, Penn State.
Yep.
Firing Franklin, October 12th. And here we are now. Conference championship weekend is upon us. Penn State sits open, and coach after coach is either getting paid by their university, like Kalani Sitake, who was the latest name this week, or they are going elsewhere, like Hartline to South Florida. Where does that leave Penn State? And, I hate to say it, my question to you is going to be, will Lane Kiffin win a championship at LSU? Not sure that it matters. Will Penn State have a football coach?
At some point, someone's going to have to take over the program. I think it's very clear Terry Smith is not in the running just because his name has not been brought up recently. I think the writing's been on the wall for a couple of weeks that he's not going to get that shot. The players really want him from all vantage points that we get, from the football field to the post game to even other interviews that the players have given. They want Terry Smith, but they've made it clear they want someone who's been a head coach already, whether that's NFL or college football. I'm just not sure who's left. I think it's going to be someone out of left field. It could be someone that's been fired from the NFL.
Well, you know who's not left? Recruiting class.
Well, today's the day. When we record this is signing day, and Penn State has slipped in the almost mid-100s for their recruiting class, or lack thereof.
How embarrassing is this?
It's embarrassing. Now, I think one thing we all have to take a step back, take the emotion out of it, which I wish Pat Kraft would have taken the emotion out of the firing of James Franklin at the time. But if we take the emotion out of it and we look at how college football is today, Penn State can fix this with money, at least for next year. They can bring in a lot of talent. They can spend a lot of their own money, NIL, whatever, and bring in enough players to field a team that's competitive next year.
Well,
my fear is the depth. My fear is, now that we have no one in this recruiting class, essentially, how do you build a team beyond next year
and the
keep
way,
making it work?
Florida State?
Yeah, it's a Band-Aid.
We always knew.
It's a Band-Aid.
So I think a lot of things can be right here. okay? And I want to go back and say that for years I said, you know, we were still, Penn State is always pointed and laughed at.
Yep.
And the national media
And that's been since I was a kid.
Yeah,
I mean, I've always been
correct.
teased by Ohio State fans and Michigan fans about how we're little brother.
Right. Penn State has always been laughed and pointed at. And for 10 years, we were laughed and pointed at because James Franklin couldn't win the big game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a known thing. And I argued, okay, but eventually, hopefully, he can try to kick that door down.
And we're in the conversation with him.
Yeah. And we made the semifinals last year with him.
That was not even a year ago, folks.
Right.
I just keep reminding everybody.
Correct. Now,
tie game, fourth quarter.
I stand by that argument in the sense of if you fire a top 10 coach, you risk becoming Nebraska. You risk becoming Tennessee.
You risk becoming the middleman.
You risk becoming a program that can no longer find its footing. Okay. Now, that also being said, I believed that after the Oregon loss, I felt a bottom drop out of the program for whatever reason that was. And I also believe that firing Franklin was the right decision this year.
Yes.
Especially after the losses to UCLA and Northwestern.
I understand the firing. I do understand the firing.
Correct. Now, if you do that, though,
you got to fix it.
got to have a plan. And the search seems to be an unmitigated disaster. And this is where now that can also be true. So at this point, I don't know where Penn State goes, and I don't know what it does. Now, I was listening to the Audible by our friends at The Athletic that we listen to, Stuart Mandel, Bruce Feldman, Ralph Russo. I know they're not listening to us. They're welcome on here.
Yeah,
I'd love to interview them.
Anytime.
Ralph
we'll make space.
Yesterday, I was listening. He said after the Kalani Sitake news broke that he was taking BYU, he said, I think Penn State, look, someone is going to be their coach. I still think they can work this out just fine. But I think what needs to happen is there needs to be a reset. Pat Kraft needs to take a deep breath, okay, and start looking at other candidates. He said, why Matt Campbell wasn't involved in this at all, go have a conversation with him. He said, another guy, he's playing in a conference championship game this weekend, would probably listen and jump at the opportunity. Dan Mullen, not involved as of yet. Go talk to those guys, take a deep breath, reset. These are current good head coaches. If you missed on some of the guys that you wanted, Penn State has the facilities, they have the money. You get a good head coach in there that knows X's and O's, like
excites
one of those
the
guys.
fan base.
They can. Well, he said even if it's not a big name that excites the fan base, get a football guy in there.
I think Dan Mullen would excite the fan base.
Well, I think at this point,
yeah,
and I think that ultimately get a guy that wants to be there. This can still work out okay.
It can,
and that's what Ralph Russo said. And I thought, well, maybe he's right. But each day that passes,
the bad PR gets worse.
I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
And I think when you have bad PR and you're trying to sign people to come in, that's tough. And we keep hearing Brian Daboll's name.
Well, and here's the other issue, too. You have current players on the current team for Penn State tweeting and posting on social media.
Bad look.
Where's
not
my
not
coach?
for the players. I'm just saying bad look for the admin.
Well, that there's no control right now.
Do you think, though,
there's no one in charge?
Just for a second, because Brian Daboll is trending here. He's out there.
I would love him.
But isn't he Matt Rule? He's a failed NFL coach. What has he done in college football that makes you think he's going to be any better than Matt Rule?
I think he'd be inventive offensively. I think he would be creative, and I think he'd be fun on offense, which this program needs.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, were the Giants fun on offense?
Well, but he's not the GM, and I think if he was able to help,
I don't think he's going to be the GM here too.
No, but I think he could pick his GM based on who he wants and what's going on.
Or is the AD the GM?
Well, that's a whole different ball of wax, isn't it?
Is that why there's no coach right now?
I said this before on the podcast. I think we have an athletic director that wants control.
Yeah, and in some cases, that's not a bad thing. I don't know about this.
It depends on how you go about it.
It depends on how you go about it. There's so many questions. All we know right now is that we don't have a coach.
Well, I want to say something first. I want to bring in Mr. David Shiner because you brought up a name months ago, and we kind of chuckled about it. You said David Shaw. I mean,
that
heck,
I did.
Why not?
At this point, you need somebody, right? I mean, and I've heard
a stabilizer.
I've heard some reports that, like, Chesney's out of the running at this point, or at least, he's not interested.
Did he sign with UCLA or not yet?
The ink's not dry there, and Brent Key's extension is not dry yet either. So that's another name to keep an eye on.
But I mean, at this point, the list is getting shorter and shorter, and someone's got to do something. And I mean, I fear what is going to end up happening here is you do hire Terry Smith, which I think everybody thinks he's a good guy. He's a good coach, obviously a locker room guy. All the players like him. But that's, not to take a Taylor Swift note here, but that's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
I agree.
It's a 2-year stopgap until you find the guy, and I think Kraft goes with him. It has to happen that way because he's the one that started all this,
Well,
right?
and to your point, I think if you do somehow circle back to Terry Smith, I still think he has no shot. If you circle back to Terry Smith, you could retain some of your talent that wants to play for him.
At least the people in house,
Right,
for sure, because
right.
they love the guy,
and that
I-
would help
you
for
know,
next year.
Yeah, it's just 3 years from now.
What does that mean?
Where are we at? I mean, and we were talking yesterday, Dan, that this is almost to the point of the sanction level situation where, hey, we can win games, but what is the future holding?
Correct.
And this is not a 1-year thing. This is a 2, 3, 4, 5, 10-year situation.
Here's my frustration, though, and then we need to move on. Penn State is and should be a top 10, top 15 job.
Should
with
be.
facilities.
We brought in James
with-
Franklin after all.
With sanctions at the time. It's got a great stadium. It's got a great fan base. It's got a large alumni base. All I'm being told by outsiders is that Penn State's administration has alignment. Penn State has boosters lined up. We are ready to pay. Why do we not have a
Something's
coach?
wrong. Something I think is wrong on the inside.
And I think we all better brace ourselves.
Yep.
That it could be a dark period here.
Yeah,
Okay?
I mean, it could be worse than
Sure,
you know,
looking
we-
that way.
We thought the 7 and 5 years coming in the beginning of James Franklin. Were bad.
I think we're lucky that we got to 6 and 6 this year.
I think so too.
All right, let's
Crazy.
move on to our Week 14 recap and
Isn't it fun?
discuss our pick results. Listen, as I said, I had a good week, 5 and 5. That's just fine. You went 3 and 7, but that does put us very close in the overalls,
It
which
does.
we'll get to. Texas A&M, boy, it is so hard to finish a perfect season, isn't it?
It's very hard to go pole to pole. I'll keep saying it.
Do you think Texas deserves a shot?
Boy, that loss to Florida looms large.
But
Without that loss to Florida, I say absolutely, but that was a bad loss.
It was, but if you schedule somebody like Akron, like FIU, like the teams Penn State was
Yep.
made fun of scheduling,
I
they're
know,
in.
I get it. You're a victim of your schedule.
Yeah, but that's not what the committee was supposed to be about.
But
They
it's what
wanted
it's
these
turned
games,
into.
and I think that's a tough pill to swallow.
Yep.
Speaking of another team, Miami did what they needed to do to Pitt. I told you not to pick Pitt. I don't know what you were thinking.
Well, I thought cold weather, Miami coming up,
No, it's
Mario
Pitt.
Cristobal.
It's
It's
Pitt.
it's November. He turns into a turtle, but he didn't turtle.
No, Pat Narduzzi and Pitt. I mean,
They turtled.
They always do. So Miami got the job done, but they're another one. They do have a win over Notre Dame, folks.
They do, but it seems to be ignored over and over again.
Why?
We'll get into that in a moment.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay, Alabama took care of business barely, but they did cover. The Packers beat the Lions, and I had that one called. I knew that was coming.
Well, I wish I would have known Amon St. Brown was going to get hurt because I think that was the tipping point.
The Chiefs. Are they going to make the playoffs?
I think so. I think they'll find a way. I mean, we still have a month to go in the NFL season, so no one panic yet, but they're in a little trouble. Speaking of trouble,
Yeah, we're going to talk about this later, but the Eagles did not do it. They didn't even win. They didn't even put up much of a fight. I don't want to dwell on this now. That's coming up in our lineup. But,
well, I think I can say this much. The Bears are the hottest team in the NFC.
yeah, and Caleb Williams is proving me wrong a little bit. But I also
playing
think
winning
that
football.
could do with the play caller, too.
Yep.
You like the coach.
For Chicago?
yeah.
Yeah. He's inventive. He's creative. Again, my argument for Brian Dable,
Didn't get the under right, did I?
No, you did not. That was a weird game in Piscataway, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. No defense
Turned into
played.
a shootout.
No defense played
We're
at all.
watching
in-
the Big 12 in New
Cold
Jersey?
I don't know, but one has to wonder, too, is Jim Knowles going to be on this staff?
I think so.
Really?
Yes. I think unequivocally he will be on staff.
Okay. Well, we will see. But again, Penn State didn't cover. You got it wrong, too.
I did.
Iowa took care of business against Nebraska. And,
Not only did they take care of business, they put a whooping on them.
well, that's another one. Again,
Bye-bye, Matt Rule.
so-
Bye-bye.
not
Happy
really.
trails.
Yeah. I is it bad to say I'd rather have no coach?
Yeah. Well, again, we dodged the bullet there, I think.
Yeah. North Texas also
Wow.
took care of business, right? And
Notre
now
Dame.
they're in the title game.
Yep, Notre Dame 32.5-point favorites. They got you 29, but not 32, my friend.
It was a big number, and they just couldn't do it. Michigan couldn't do it either. They didn't even
Yeah,
score 10
I
points.
thought they would keep it closer, and the first half looked that way, but the dominance of Ohio State and the passing game in the second half came alive.
Virginia does it, and they're in the
I
ACC
know.
title game.
Tony Elliott.
Yeah,
Tony Elliott.
call him.
Yeah. I mean, again, it could be totally someone out of left field for Penn State. Don't call Josh Heupel. I am done with Josh Heupel. I picked him.
Yeah, I didn't like what he had to say either about Penn
Yep.
State. Did you see
Well,
that?
he
He wants
got-
to
he got
wants
blown
to
up.
be at a place with high expectations.
Well, he got blown up, so I don't want to hear from him.
Well, that was embarrassing.
Diego Pavia ate him for dinner and breakfast.
All right, so here's the overall standings. We have myself under 500, but you know,
You're clawing. You're scratching and clawing.
67 and 75 and 71 and 71.
I'm breaking even now.
That's okay, but
Yep.
our goal is to break even or get ahead, and we're close. So I'm 4 games back, baby. I'm coming, but
Are you like Miami on the outside looking in, but you're close enough?
but I can smell it.
Yep.
That's the deal. Let's talk about these top 25 rankings. Now, this is not something we've done, and you know, our goal is eventually to expand this podcast, maybe have multiple episodes a week. We're trying, but before we get there, we just haven't had time to discuss it. But now that we're into the week before
well, this is the
selection
penultimate
Saturday,
ranking.
this is it, and so it matters. What this tells me is, you know, James Madison has a shot here to get into the playoff, depending on what if Duke wins the ACC.
If Duke wins the ACC is in a ton of trouble.
They really, really are. And then if we look through here are the teams that are probably guaranteed a spot. Right? Let's go. Ohio State,
Yep.
Indiana,
Yep.
Georgia,
Mhm.
Texas Tech, Oregon, Ole Miss, A&M, Oklahoma. Now,
After that, it's you
Correct.
tell me.
Notre Dame moved down.
Mhm.
Not great for them. If Alabama wins, that probably doesn't change a whole lot.
No, they just move up, and Georgia slides down a couple
If
spots.
Alabama loses, this is interesting. Now
I
they're
know.
at number 9.
I know this is precarious.
We've never had a 3-loss team in the playoff. But let me say this. Alabama has already beaten Georgia this year. I think they're still in.
I don't.
Well, what if they lose by a field goal?
Well, okay, that would be different. But if they
Now, if
lose
they lose
by
50-10,
I think they're out.
I think they might
I
be
think
out.
they lose by 2 touchdowns, they're out. But, you know, this is where the whole conference championship argument comes in. They're not conference championship games are going nowhere because it makes money for the conferences. There's TV money tied to it, so they're going nowhere.
Oh,
but
really? NBC wants to sell theirs.
Well, somebody will buy it.
I know, but why do they want to get out of the business?
I understand. But what I want to say about this is an extra data point, and like it or not, it could have an impact on the playoffs. And I know it's not really supposed to. And in the past, teams haven't been penalized by the championship game per se. But this could be the year because there are teams knocking on the door.
Well, and again, it's not necessarily being penalized, but the outcome matters. For example, BYU is number 11.
Mhm.
What if BYU beats Texas Tech? I don't think that's going to happen, but what if they do?
What if they do?
Then Texas Tech drops,
Right.
BYU goes up.
And how far does Texas Tech drop?
So you've got, and here's the issue: you need an ACC team in there, right? I mean, they're a Power 4 conference.
I
Their
would
champion
assume,
is going.
I would assume it's Miami's the only
But
possibility.
they're
to
not.
me.
But they're not playing in the game.
I understand, but that's the only ACC team I could point to
But
that
according
could
to
make
the
it as well.
rules, it's the 4 highest ranked conference champions.
Right. So it doesn't have to be the ACC.
That's
If,
true.
if Duke wins, it may not mean much of anything for them.
Boy, that is wild, isn't it?
But what's also wild, think about this. If Ohio State blows the doors off of Indiana, which I think is totally possible,
Yeah, I do too.
Indiana loses their bye. I think they get knocked out of the top 4.
It depends on what would happen though, because again, if BYU beats Texas Tech,
Yeah,
you know,
there could be chaos.
we don't know. And
but
that's-
again, people
that's
who
the
say that
interesting
this
thing.
weekend doesn't matter, you might want to wake up a little bit.
Oh, it definitely matters. I mean, Oregon could get a bye.
And then Texas. If chaos happens, Texas is right there.
Yeah, Miami, Texas, BYU. I think Vanderbilt and below are out.
And by the
So-
way, one of Texas's losses is to the current number 1 team. That matters.
It should matter, but right now they're out.
I know.
So they also did something that, and this is where I think the argument is a good one by Texas. They've beaten, at the time, 3 top 10 teams.
they
Nobody
had
else has done that.
They had a very strong schedule.
The Florida loss is ugly, but listen, they have some good wins on that
Yes, they
schedule,
do.
including against A&M. So we're going to have to see how that plays out.
And
Now,
they've been playing better, too, by the way.
let's bring in Mr. Shiner here quickly, guys. What the heck is wrong with the Eagles? And are the Eagles going to pull a 2023?
I don't think so, but you know me, I'm always the homer here. I saw a great interview with Chris Long the other day where he said that sometimes you need to see the adversity to get moving in the right direction, getting hit, getting back up off the mat. And he thinks with the players in this locker room that is definitely there. And there has been some, I think it's some Hard Knocks footage that's been released where everybody's on Jalen's case about not being the team guy or whatever. And it was specifically on a play where he threw behind Devontae Smith and he thought he was going to do a stop route. Devontae thought he was doing a crosser. And he took total accountability on the sidelines. He went up to every player, dapped him up, said, like, that's a play I'm going to make next time. And is still looking like a leader on this team. Seeing that makes me feel good about the future. And the rest of this season definitely like sets up. I mean, they got a tough one against LA here coming up.
Road.
That I think is going to be a real test. If they lose that game, then okay, sky is falling. Let's kind of worry about what happened a couple of years ago. But right now, they still have the Super Bowl pedigree on that team.
Yep.
And I know everybody's yelling at Patullo. I know everybody's yelling at Jalen. Our problem right now, I think, is the line. And if that line gets healthy, which it looks like it's about to be, I think this ship can right very quickly.
Well, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I think it comes back to the running game on offense. They become one-dimensional because they can't run the ball. And, without Saquon Barkley, even if you get 75% of what you got last year, it would be very helpful right now because all of a sudden the downfield play action's there. He's coming out of the backfield occasionally making plays. But right now they're not running the ball, so they've become very predictable.
Pat Kraft called Kevin Patullo?
I saw people. I've heard Mike Tomlin's name thrown out for Penn State right now,
Doug
too.
Peterson, he likes to give his guys ice cream. It might be a good fit with the creamery.
Hey, get me some peachy paterno. It's one of my faves.
Here's what I will say, and then we're moving on. Nothing has given me a reason to Philly people may get mad here, but to doubt Nick Sirianni.
No, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
He's pulled them out of bad situations.
He is a name that we haven't mentioned. Everybody, talks about the OC. Everybody talks about the injuries or the line being healthy, the running game. Everything that you guys brought up is very valid. But the coach is Nick Sirianni, and he really has been a pretty darn good NFL head coach.
Yeah, he's been taking a lot of accountability on this, too.
So I think that...
Well, he hired Patullo, and again, at the time, everyone was like, are you sure about that?
He's that guy that constantly falls on the sword for his players, and I think players respond to that.
We haven't heard anything about players not really liking him as far as I know.
Well, you know who else we haven't heard from? A.J. Brown, after he has a couple 100-yard games and a couple touchdowns.
And that's
all
the
of a sudden, everybody's happy there.
We've listened way too much to the criticism, and that's what really burns me up.
Too much fodder. Too much fodder.
Sure, and that goes back to...
And Andy Koldenicki said the same thing with Penn State. Listen too much to the outside.
Correct.
Rat poison.
No, it's always that way. But I just, until... And I know how 2023 was, and yes, Nick Sirianni was the coach. I get it. But he righted things the next year. He won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2. I'm not really panicked yet.
They won last year. And let me say one final thing about the Eagles situation. They made the mistake in 23 of trying to change defensive coordinators midstream. It was awful. It was terrible. We are not going down that direction again. I swear to you, that is a mistake. You do it in the offseason if you have to do it. And maybe Sirianni helps call offensive plays.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, let's get to the games of the week.
Games of the week.
All right, we've got 3 of them for you. It is Conference Championship weekend. We're going to roll through these. BYU, Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a 12.5-point favorite. We've already seen this game.
Yes.
I would not have minded if Penn State hired Kalani Sitake. I was coming around to it. He's staying at BYU, but we've seen this game. I think we know this game.
I think we know this game. It's a big, big spread that should tell you something.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm sorry.
I'll go back.
Yeah, go back because we are going to talk about travel weather too, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay, because these games are all in domes. Although because that's in Jerry World.
Yes.
Then you've got the
Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz Classic again, Georgia, Alabama. As wild as the SEC was, look who's left.
Look who's left. It's always the same thing, it seems like.
Kirby Smart can't beat Alabama, but he is favored to do so by 2.5. This is the 4 p.m. game here on ABC 27.
If Kalen DeBoer loses, does his name pop back up?
No, I think.
Okay. I'm just thinking it's a sidebar story still. People are still mentioning it.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Indiana at Ohio State, this is a big one, and I think not too many people are talking about it. A game day going to the SEC game. I get it. But this is number 1 versus number 2, okay?
Well, I think people think Indiana's a pretender, to be honest with you.
Well, they're 12-0, and they beat Oregon.
I understand, but look at their schedule. Oregon's their best win. I'll be curious to see how their lines hold up against the vaunted, the world's greatest university, Ohio State. Sorry, I did my Gus Johnson there for a second.
It was good, but it was nauseating. Ohio State minus 4.5. Yeah, they're going to win another national title. Well, Penn State doesn't have a coach. It's just lovely.
But at least their offensive coordinator is not going to be there any longer.
Yeah, true. It seems like they reload no matter what.
Well, they'll hire Chip Kelly back.
I'd call him.
Yep, I would too.
Steelers-Ravens, 1 o'clock. A divisional game. The Ravens are favored by 6 points.
And
but
speaking of six, by the way, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, please.
6
and then I want to say something.
both teams.
Yeah, and a weird 6-6 for both because at times both have looked good. What happened to the Ravens on Thanksgiving night?
They didn't show up.
But
Too much
why?
tryptophan. I don't know.
It's weird.
It is
weird.
weird.
It was an embarrassment.
Does anyone want to win this division? And actually, the
Joe
funny
Burrow
thing,
might.
Yeah, he might. I mean, they're not out.
He looked good, but that's my point. I mean, it was a joke.
It is a joke, but it's just sad to me. The Steelers.
Somebody may have had a little something on the Ravens that night.
Whoops.
I'm upset.
The Steelers are just so discombobulated, and they had such a great start to the season, and here they are once again back at 500.
Yeah, well, you know what? Picking them to cover.
Okay.
Because I just think this is one of those games. Now, again, I don't know if they'll win, but they're going to put up a fight.
Game of the weekend, though, is next on the radar.
Bears, Packers, America's game of the week on Fox. Packers favored big.
Cold Lambeau Field. I do think some wind and some chill and maybe some snow showers.
And I think
will make it interesting.
I think this ends the Bears' fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
they're hot. They're playing well. They're playing winning football.
Yeah, not at Lambeau.
Okay.
Eagles, Chargers.
What if they do win? I mean, to me, if they win there, they're the favorites in the NFC now.
We'll see. I think we still have enough tiebreak. If we get our act together, just hold on.
I think we will.
Eagles, Chargers. Speaking of that, gosh, Eagles favored on the road, going to LA Monday night here on ABC. This is a tough game.
It's very tough because the Eagles are just not playing good football right now.
They aren't. So let's talk at least a little bit here. I think about some of the weather that we're going to be seeing. The good news here is I don't really believe that we have a lot going on across the country. The one thing that we do have going on is the cold.
Yes, we have the cold. The cold is entrenched, and if you look really closely there, you kind of squint, there's a chance of snow over parts of eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia, possibly southern Pennsylvania. That's something we're tracking. But even more so on the backside of that, it's going to get pretty cold again. Friday's a chilly day, central Pennsylvania, but through the Great Lakes, the Northeast, that leads to lake effect snow. Saturday, still lake effect snow chances. Another storm diving in, too, from the north.
Look at the country as a whole, though. We don't really, if you're traveling to one of these games as a fan, most of them are in domes. I don't expect any travel issues. For the most part, I mean, flights look fine. These are not big storms we're talking about. These are mesoscale convective issues.
This is what you expect this time of the year. Not big nor'easters necessarily, but frequent chances for snow. And there's that other Clipper-type system diving through parts of Minnesota into the Green Bay area, but it kicks out just before the game. I think it's going to be windy and cold, but I think big time.
Which game?
The Green Bay game.
Oh, okay.
I think it's going to be windy and cold, but I don't think it's going to be actively snowing, inches upon inches during the game itself.
Same thing with the Ravens game, right? We'd expect that. So, again, there's not a lot of difference here in our picks. Texas A&M, 12.5. We're both going with them. We're both picking Georgia to win. Yes, it's against Alabama, but again, which team is playing better right now?
Georgia.
Indiana at Ohio State.
Alabama had trouble on the plains.
Yeah, and again, until Ohio State proves that they're vulnerable, You got to pick them.
I think they could beat some NFL teams right now.
We are different on the NFL. Steelers. Mike Tomlin just kind of wins this game. I don't know why, but I'm gonna pick him to cover. Really,
I think
6 is a big number.
I think
here,
they're
right?
trending downward. The Steelers. I think they're in a lot of trouble, and I think there's already talk about coaching changes.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin to Penn State.
No thanks.
Packers 6.5. I like them, and they came up big for me against the Lions. I'm in love with the Packers.
I think it's going to be a field goal game. I think it's last possession wins.
Okay, I'm sticking with the Eagles here.
Okay. I got one up on you last week because I picked the Bears to cover. I'm picking the Chargers to cover.
By the way, the Eagles are now 3-point favorites, so we can change that.
Okay.
But that is the deal. So I'm going to pick them. Under the radar time, Mr. Shiner, cue it up.
Under the radar.
All right, this is an interesting one. We have Troy versus JMU. JMU still has their coach, I think.
Yeah, and by the way,
is not dry for Bob Chesney at UCLA as a Bruin.
Yeah, and this is I think this game is on Friday. It's not on BTN either.
No, I forgot about that. Sorry about that.
Nope. Listen, we have got to fire these interns because you and I both screw these graphics up. But again, most of you are listening, so you know when this game is. It is Friday, but James Madison, a guy that took the Penn State job and didn't want it.
Said no thanks.
He is a 23.5-point favorite. I like him.
I think it's a big number. Troy always finds a way to find offense, and I think at some point one of these teams with a coach departing is going to be distracted. And I think this is one of those teams that
could be.
Can you cover 23.5?
They have a chance to make the playoffs, though.
I know.
So they don't need to cover. You're right.
I understand.
But Troy,
Okay.
I'm laying those points. I like Bob Chesney. Kind of wish he was coming to Happy Valley. All right.
I'll pass.
Time for my best.
Didn't excite me any.
Well, he's better than nobody. Brett's best.
There it is.
Time now for Brett's Best.
All right. We are short on time. I'm going to roll through these, though, okay? Cowboys at Lions. I'm going Thursday and Friday. I'm going early in the week. Prime. Herb Street. Michaels. Lions -3. Love them.
Yeah, I think you got to take them unless they're hurt and banged up. That's the only way I think the Cowboys could pull an upset.
This is a game though the Cowboys fans think they're hot to trot, and this just smells like Dan Campbell says not so fast.
Yep.
North Texas at Tulane. This is the game of the departing coaches. North Texas is favored by 2.5. I like them to keep focused here. I think 8 o'clock on ABC Friday night. We've got a lot of games for you this weekend.
We do.
Here.
ABC's the place to be.
Yep. Kennesaw State, Jacksonville State. Kennesaw
what a
State.
Story they've been.
I'll tell you, they completely turned around. New coach this year, winning games. Kennesaw State -2.5. That's at 7 on CBS Sports Network. I like Kennesaw State to win and cover. They're going to complete a glory season for them to come back and win Conference USA. Time for your dandies.
Yeah, I think you're going to see some repeats.
That's okay. There's not many. There's not that many games.
There's not that many games, but I also was looking at North Texas and Tulane just because, again, what do these teams have left? They're now gutted from their coaches leaving. Hard to say who's staying on the roster. Again, these kids start looking immediately. It is a new world.
Yeah.
And then UNLV, Boise State. Boise State always finds a way, don't they? But UNLV, a hot ticket. Dan Mullen, you brought his name up earlier. And then Colts and Jaguars. Big game for the Colts. The Colts have slipped a little bit in the AFC picture. Jaguars are hot. They're only a 4-loss team, folks. They're right there, too.
Wow.
Could be a fun one there in Jacksonville.
Dan Mullen.
Yep.
There he is.
There he is, our guy. Could he be a Penn Stater?
All right, final picks. Let's get to them.
Final picks.
We differ on just enough again to make it interesting, and that's why I think, too, this is, the last week we can do a full 10-game slate. But nonetheless, here they are, and we roll through them again. Texas Tech, Georgia, Ohio State, college, big-time championship games. We agree on all of them. We differ on the Steelers and the Ravens.
Yep.
I think Mike Tomlin, he wants to make a statement here against a rival, and he's been good.
I'm just disappointed. The Steelers, to me, on offense should be much better than they are. I heard someone saying, is this still Matt Canada calling the plays?
Oof, there's a name.
Yep, there's a name for you.
Do you call Matt Canada if you're Pat Kraft?
Some
fans may want to send Pat Kraft to Canada.
He might be a great coach for JMU.
Packers, Bears. Packers, Bears. I'm rolling with the Pack because they won against the Lions.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. But the Bears, I think, are playing great football. They're believing in themselves, which is huge in the NFL.
I think they're toast.
Okay.
Eagles, I'm picking them.
I think the Eagles win, but I could see it being a very big nail-biting type of situation. And we have to watch Mr. Khaki Pants again on the sidelines. We can't escape him, can we?
No, he's there. Jim Harbaugh, our old foe from Michigan.
Hope he didn't steal any of our signs.
James,
I say that?
not
I'm
Franklin, Madison, minus 23.5. You're going with Troy to cover.
I'm going with Troy to cover. I think it's a big number, and I think, unfortunately, these coaching decisions mess with teams. It's very sad. You play out a whole season, and then the rug's pulled out from underneath you.
Well, and we are recording a day early this week, so I'm going with that prime game. That it stuck out to me. I like the Lions here against the
Interesting.
Cowboys.
Okay.
They're up in Detroit. I like it. That North Texas game, and I see you're picking them to cover. I'm going to pick the under. That is a high number. Both teams could be a little distracted with their coaches leaving. 66.5. Shiner, it's one of my over-unders.
Northern Texas scores a lot of points.
66 is a lot of number.
Yeah.
I think I'm siding with you on this one. We'll see. That's a little bit more of a defensive game, but hey,
Play it in Piscataway.
Every
That's
time
where
I say
offenses
it, I'm
roar.
wrong. So
No, they did. I was wrong last week with that, but I'm going to do it. And then when we look here at Kennesaw State, I'm taking them to
Good
cover.
on you.
And look at you, blue turf, Dan
Yep.
Mullen.
Dan Mullen,
Or
I
is
think's
that
got a
in
shot.
Vegas? Where is that game?
I couldn't tell you.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay,
Well,
you look that up.
You talk about Dan Mullen, why you're picking him.
I just think, again, they have some momentum. Boise State's had some uncharacteristic losses this year. They're up to a 4-loss team. I just think Dan Mullen could make a statement here. I'm at least picking them to cover. We'll see what happens. And then the Colts, I'm picking to win as the favorite in Jacksonville. I still, there's a part of me that doesn't believe that Jacksonville's for real, but they could change that narrative pretty quickly.
And I was right. It's on the blue turf.
There you go.
Look out.
Oh, boy.
That could, be
That
a
could
factor.
sway things.
And you like the Colts. They are they're one of the best stories of the NFL.
Yeah, well, again, I miss Tyler Warren dearly.
I think we all do. Final thoughts as we wrap up this version of Weather Wagers. Again, when will Penn State have a head coach, and can they clean up their act?
I think it drags into next week, and I think everybody's got to be patient now at this point because it seems like the Kalani Sitake news came with as a bombshell that not only did Pat Kraft think he was going to be our coach, it seems like Penn State administration thought he was going to be the coach. So now they have to pivot, and they have to pivot quickly. But it's going to take some time.
It really will, and I am worried. I mean, this could start a Nebraska type fail at this
Very much could.
university.
But
And
again, hopefully there's enough in place we don't allow that to happen.
yeah, but I think when you bungle this, the bad PR is enough to
Yep,
cause
certainly
things
could.
to spiral,
Certainly
and that's
could.
what worries me. Well, that is going to do it for us. We can be found at all of these spots. If you're watching, our social media accounts are on your screen. ABC 27 News Plus app. It's the hottest app out there right now. Weatherwagers@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts. For Dave Shiner, Dan Tomaso, gentlemen, we'll be talking about the holidays and the NFL playoffs next week.
Well, and the bowl schedule is going to kick off sooner than later, too.
We have a lot to talk about yet. December. Things don't slow down in December. They're just warming up.
We're just warming up, folks.
Even though the weather's getting colder. That's all for this week's Weather Wagers. Enjoy Conference Championship weekend, everybody. We'll see you back here next week.